Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Roddy. Today we are gonna be working on the intake for the Audi S5. Now when I removed the intake, I realized that there was coolant in the intake. It is crazy. How does it end up in there? I don't know. In this video, we're gonna try to figure it out. Just try to see what we can find about what's going on with this engine, because yeah, it's gonna be a big one. It's gonna be a very big ticket. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and let's get into it.
That's all the coolant?
Yeah. I'll remove this hose here and get this cleaned. If you notice, this is the coolant reservoir bottle, right? And then you have this hose just going down, and it goes into this valve right here. This valve is what you see where it goes from here again. So it goes, coolant goes in. You see that's hollow? Right? So coolant goes in, it's hollow, and then coolant comes back out here and goes in here. You see it? So this goes here into the coolant hole system, and then it goes distributed to the entire engine.
Okay.
So because this is cracked somewhere, some part of this is cracked. This is cracked, and now it's sending coolant into here. You see my finger. Okay. So that's how coolant get into the system.
But it wasn't supposed to go there.
No, it's not supposed to go in here. So with this, knowing that have happened, now I have to check the thermostat, replace the thermostat, replace the water pump, because one of those could have failed, and the quickest fail point is gonna be this, because this is plastic. So one of those have cracked or failed and caused this to build up pressure. Pressure having anywhere to go, so it decided to pop this, which is the easiest thing to pop. So there's a bit of a carbon buildup, and that could be the reason why I have uneven compression testing, and the valves over here are closed. So you see the valves are closed. I can't get anything in there. So what I'm going to do is a carbon cleaning using chemicals to go through the intake. Imagine this is still here, right? This is gonna be there still. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use this right here. I'm going to insert this in here, right? And I'm gonna bypass it like that. So that, can you see it? So this way, I'm no longer using these two ports anymore. I'm not gonna be using these anymore. I'm just gonna be using this. And it's just gonna be temporary. let's play with this. This hose here is that breather hose that was disconnected from the first video that I made. And here I'm replacing the clamp. This is a better clamp. I like these clamps. They're easier to work with, but can be difficult sometimes.
That's a good clamp.
Yeah. With the hardware that's on this intake, you have to be careful with it. Right here, you can see that I'm missing one. These go down here. One of these things. Installing the intake can be a little bit difficult. You just gotta take your time. Right here, as I was putting it down, I accidentally pushed it out again. It is difficult because these things here keep on falling out, and it goes up under, and this goes on top to hold it in. And yes, I'm not replacing the bushings, these things right now, because you can see they're pretty much so good. But it keeps on falling out, and you don't want it to fall inside the intake ports. I was having a hard time putting the intake back down flush because the cover that's in front of the engine was getting into the way. I just had to just remove it. Okay, it was something. I see something fell. Alright, this guy here. This is the front of the engine. This guy here. And this guy goes here. And goes there. In the front. So, let's try this again.
Let's attempt this again.
It's a lot of attempts. A lot.
Seems a little bit easier.
Boom. Oh. Alright, let's see if we could get these guys in first.
You couldn't connect it first before putting it down?
No, because that's how close everything is. So, close a bit down. So, remove this. Let's remove this. So to get the two hoses onto the valves in front of the intake, I had to remove the hood latch along with the cover that was in front of the intake as well. So this way I was able to use the pliers to install the two hoses back in there. It's a really tight space. This thing, you can't really see it, but it's back there right now.
Okay. All right.
Right here, I am connecting back the two coolant hoses that goes to the heater core inside the car. The reason why they were removed in the first place is because I had to remove that section of firewall to get behind the engine.
Let's first start up. There's no coolant in the system, so I don't know what's gonna do. So we got,
All right.
In this part of the video, I cut the engine off at one point because something didn't sound right? And that's because I turned it on without the reservoir in there, and if I checked the footage and I realized there was like smoke coming out of the pipes. That is not supposed to happen. But I decided, okay, let's put the reservoir back on, and look at this. Now, what you see there is either the water pump is turning and sending the bubbles, sending air through the pipes into the reservoir, or it could be the actual head gasket blown and the compression is sending air back into the coolant system. Now, that's not a good sign anywhere you put it. So now I'm just gonna basically, okay, I'm gonna go with the route that is actually the water pump sending air through the system into the reservoir, and hopefully it's not the other way around, because if it's the other way around, guaranteed it's gonna need a head gasket. But the noise that I was hearing, the ticking that I was hearing, sound very familiar, like as if like the lifters was running dry and the high pressure fuel pump was running dry, because the high pressure fuel pump is sitting on top of the cams, and if that is not getting lubed, it's gonna slap like crazy, and you could hear the lifters slapping like crazy, and something says drain the oil pan, and this is what I find. I'm just gonna go ahead. Ooh. That is not good. Alright. That's a lot of water. Oh my gosh. So yeah. That was not good. It's a new motor. Yep, that's it. I might need a new engine because that's not a good sign. The fact that I cracked the drain plug and water to start coming out, that's not a good sign. But I had to realize that it's actually water, not coolant, because the car has been sitting for over 2 years, and there could be signs of water in the system because, mind you, there was coolant inside the intake. So because the coolant was inside the intake, that can turn into condensation and then leaks down into the oil, and then by getting into the oil enough for cars sitting for 2 years, that seeps to the bottom of the oil, and then now by me starting it, it got mixed up. But the fact that it still got mixed up and you still have a lot of water in the bottom, that's not a good sign. Now on the next video, I'm gonna actually do a vacuum and try to attempt a leak down test, because what I ended up doing was actually adding water into the system and leaving it there for like 5 days. And when I went back, the water was still there. That's gonna be another video. So the next video is coming up is actually me pressure testing it and vacuuming it and make sure that that could get a good flow for the coolant. It's a whole thing. It's a whole different thing. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on right now because it's the time that I have to work on the car and I can't just put a whole day to it. So I'm basically working a few hours here and working a few hours there, and it's a whole length of time actually getting this car done or working on this car. So stick with me, stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this video helped. If you hear those knockings, that's not a good sign. That means that your lifters are not getting oiled and you need to basically stop what you're doing, drain the oil, make sure you have oil in the system. And in my case, I got water in the system, which is not good. So next step is basically have that thing drained out and see what's next. Please leave the comments in the bottom so I could see them, other people could see them, so that this way we'll solve each other's issues and problems, because this is a Audi V8 and hey, maybe they're all the same thing. So please leave a comment in the bottom if you have any ideas of where to find sources, because again, this is my first undertaking of this engine. I have never worked on this engine before and I just want to make sure that I do the best thing. This is Rad Street Daily. You want to buy a car from the auction, a rad car, basically put it in the streets as a daily, and that's what this channel is all about. So let's get to work and let's put this car together, work on it together, and I'm gonna be reading the comments and responding, so feel free, be positive, and I'll see you. Peace.